Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle, aka Racing Boy Short, and with Daytona coming up here very, very soon, I figured I'd go through each NASCAR Cup Series team and give a preview for 2025 while also taking a little look back on what they were able to accomplish in 2024. The team I'm looking at now is Richard Childress Racing, RCR, one of the most historic and successful teams in NASCAR history. Let's take a look at the individual teams and if there's any changes and what my outlook would be for 2025. Let's take a look at that famous number 3 driven by Austin Dillon, and there is a change at crew chief. The number 14, Chase Briscoe's crew chief last season, Richard Boswell, has moved over to take over for the crew chief of the number 3. Last year was a very disappointing year for Richard Childress Racing in general, but especially the number 3 of Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon, especially in the first half of the season, was just consistently outside the top 25. Just did not look strong at all last year, did not have any speed. It was unable to run on the lead lap in most events. It was very disappointing to see because Austin Dillon's been a driver that, not big improvements, but over the last couple of years, I've seen him slightly improve. And then last year, I thought he took a huge step back and just really proved to me that maybe he shouldn't be in the 3 anymore. But then in the second half of the year, he really improved on his pace and at times was even outperforming his teammate, Kyle Busch. But overall, did not have a great season, finishing 32nd in points, not a good points position with 5 top 10s. He did also get a victory, but I got to put an asterisk next to that because of what happened at Richmond. That was his victory on the year, winning at Richmond in that very controversial finish. Some would say my 2025 goal for him may be a little unfair. I'd say it's fair because of the quality of car that he's in. I know Richard Childress Racing didn't have a great year last year overall. Both cars did not look strong throughout the year, especially the first half of the season, so I give a slight pass. But Austin Dillon needs to get top 20 in points, needs to get a victory, needs to get more top 10s than he got last season, because last season was abysmal throughout most of the year. Like I said, the second half of the year, he showed a little bit more speed, but still not enough speed that I would say that says that he should stay in the 3. Austin Dillon has really struggled throughout a good amount of his career. Like I said, over the last couple of years, I've seen a little bit more promise out of Dillon, but then last year he just took the biggest step down that I've seen him take, and it was pretty bad to see, especially driving that famous number 3 car. So yeah, his goal, I'd say, would be to get top 20 in points and get a victory throughout the year at some point. Preferably for him in that race team before the last 10 races to get himself into the playoffs. Now let's move on to my favorite driver, Kyle Busch, Rowdy. Last year, I'd say, was the worst season in Kyle Busch's career. He did not get a victory. The first time in his career that he did not get a victory. There is no changes. Randall Burnett stays the crew chief. Kyle Busch ended up getting 20th in points in 10 top 10s. Came close to getting a couple of victories last season, but like I said, the worst season in his career, I'd say, and the only winless season in his whole career as well. I've seen a lot of talk on the internet that he's washed, this and that. I've seen a lot of speed out of Kyle Busch still. Like I said earlier, Richard Childress overall just had a really bad year last year. There was a lot of changes that have been made, and hopefully they're able to pick it back up this year because the second half of last year looked a lot stronger than the first half. So I'd say Kyle Busch's goal this season is to get multiple victories and make the playoffs. Like I said, last year, even though Richard Childress was on an off year, there was a couple of races where Kyle Busch had almost winning speed, had top 5 pace. Is he able to pick it up that little bit more? I think that Richard Childress can. So that's the goal for Kyle Busch, to get 2+ victories and make it to the playoffs. So yeah, it's been very unfortunate to see over the last maybe like 10 or 15 years. Ever since Harvick left, Richard Childress Racing has kind of fallen off. But over the last 4 or 5 years, I'd say we've seen big improvements out of the race team. Tyler Reddick getting into the race team and doing as well as he did. Kyle Busch in that first year at RCR did very well as well. But the second half of his year kind of fell off. And last year was just awful for both drivers. And even over the last couple of years, we've seen little bursts out of Austin Dillon, I'd say, where it's all of a sudden he's just doing really well. Like, I'll always remember that win at Texas. And last year at Richmond, he was the best driver in that race. But the controversial finish, like I said, he was the best car in that race, but in my opinion, didn't deserve to get the victory. I've made other videos talking about that here on the channel, so if you really want to listen to me go on about that, you can look at a different video. But the goal for RCR is just take another step forward, because you took maybe 2 steps back last year. And Richard Childress Racing, like I said, they have not been a championship competitive race team since Kevin Harvick left the organization. I really hope they're able to get back to that. Being a big fan of NASCAR and its history, RCR has a big history there. And also, like I said, Rowdy is my favorite driver, and I want to see him get a 3rd title. So there's nothing I'd like to see more than them have more success. Next week, I plan on releasing predictions for the 2025 season. I'm laughing because last year I made predictions and they were bad. They were really bad. I missed on a lot of predictions. Like, I think one of my bold predictions was Bubba Wallace going to the championship 4. But I appreciate anybody tuning into this video. Check out my other team preview videos here on my channel. Also, I go live every Monday here on the channel with the Hit the Pacecar podcast live every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Just be aware there is cussing, there's jokes. It's meant to be comedic informative. It's kind of like Pat McAfee, not copy and paste. I made a separate video if you want to check that out and learn more information about that show and my other live shows. Like next weekend, I'm going to have the Car on the Hauler post-race live here on the channel. 30 minutes to an hour post-race of the Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. Should be a very interesting race. Also here on the channel on Monday before the Clash, you're potentially already seeing this after Monday before the Clash, I'll have a preview for Bowman Gray Stadium on who my pick is to win and how I think the overall events are going to go, and breaking down the segments in the race. But that'll do it for me. My name is Kyle, aka Racing Boy Short, saying peace.